Check out my solution for firing glaze spoons in the kiln. I designed and hand-built these kiln spoon stands and use a high-fire 15-gauge wire to hang my spoons on in the kiln. No more worrying about my spoons falling off stilts or grinding down sharp points made by the stilt wire. Let's get into today's video, but first, here's a few highlights from our recent trip to Ohio to visit our granddaughter.
Pumpkin, huh? Oh, better.
Is that fun? Everyone knows I love a tiny retro camper. If you didn't, you do now. Happy fall! Hi, I'm Sherry and I'm the creator of Vanilla Vine Pottery. This is a channel where I try and turn my hobby into a business. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes not so much. Today I'm talking about these kiln spoon stands that I designed and hand built. I needed a solution to fire my spoons in the kiln where I could, if I wanted to glaze them all, I just glaze them, but then I would have to balance them on kiln stilts. And that was a little scary because they would readjust in the kiln sometimes, especially if it's a high fire. So in order to solve that problem, I designed these two kiln spoon stands. I am going to show you just exactly how I built these stands. They were hand built, so that means that I rolled them out. I rolled them out to 3/8 of an inch thickness just because I needed them to be strong, and I needed, as you can see, they lift up, and I kind of have like this little nub because I was afraid if they moved themselves in the kiln that they might tip over. As you can see, I could tip that and it's not going to tip over. It kind of pulls itself back. This was my first one, and I wish that I would have made, I did the same on the top. There's the little nub. However, this one I didn't make as thick, but when I got to my second one, I started making some readjustments. So this one came out better, but it's shorter because sometimes I have longer spoons and sometimes I have shorter spoons. I used a high fire gauge 15 wire. I bent them into an S shape using a pair of needle nose pliers. So I also created holes. Let me move these spoons. Aren't these cute? Pumpkins and apples. And these are going to be for sale. I'm going to list these on my Etsy and my vanillavinepottery.com. What was my point? Okay, I remember. My point was the size of the holes. So I did small and I did a larger. Some of my hooks I made longer. Some of my hooks I made shorter. So I could just adjust depending on what type of spoons I'm firing. If they're longer, shorter. If they're longer, obviously I would use a shorter hook and the taller stand. And if they're shorter, I would use still maybe a shorter hook with the shorter stand. I did the same on this one. Got that spoon there. As you can see, it's the same. Small holes, larger holes. These are not going to last forever. They'll last a while because I used a high fire, high grog stoneware clay. And this clay could fire to, I believe, cone 10. I've never taken my kiln past cone 5. I also make my kiln cookies and my kiln stilts out of this clay. It's called Zumia, and I get it, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's Z-U-M-A-I-A, I believe, and I purchased the clay at clayking.com. Not sponsored. I just love their service there. It's really great, and I always get really good products and really good service. So I buy a lot of my supplies at Clay King. Again, not sponsored.
It's time to see how I built these kiln spoon stands. Always smooth your clay out when hand building because it helps prevent cracks.
Really, if you just look around your house, you can find so many items that come in handy.
Like this paper towel roll, for instance. I'm just making sure that the clay is going to fit all the way around this paper towel roll. I'm scoring both sides of the seam so they adhere better to each other. I also used a long thin strip of clay to reinforce that seam so it doesn't come apart. You could see that strip of clay along the seam, and I did smooth it out, but you could still see it from the top to the bottom. I did remove the paper towel roll so it didn't get stuck in there while it was drying. That was not easy, but I managed. I'm using this wood mold to make the base and the top for the column. The column needs to be stabilized with a heavy base, and the top needs to stick out several inches from the column so when the spoons are firing, they won't come into any contact with the column.
First, I press the clay down. And then I use the tool to dig out this extra clay. So this could sit flush down in there.
And here I'm just freestyling those nubs or nipples, whatever you want to refer to them as. Again, this is just to help stabilize the column in case it decides it wants to tip over. I'm rolling this coil to help reinforce that nub. It's time to punch out the holes in the top for the wire hooks. A little light summer rainstorm on August 27th. I let these dry slowly for about 10 days. And then August 30th, Hurricane Idalia decided to start rearing her ugly head at Fort Lauderdale, but she hit the West Coast. The stands are in a bisque fire at cone 05. I'm so excited because they actually came out. There were no cracks. Everything was perfect. And here's my 15 gauge high fire wire. It's time for her first actual spoon fire. Here's Mr. Pickles the stray cat making a cameo. The spoons are fired. Let's have a look-see. These were fired at cone 5. Now it's time for the low fire earthenware apple and pumpkin spoons.
Hope you enjoyed today's video. Now you know how to build a spoon stand and fire all your spoons completely glazed. Leave any questions that you have in the comments, as I always get back to questions in the comments. I hope you have a great day, a great fall, a great Halloween. Thanks for watching and keep on potting.
Please consider subscribing as it helps the channel to grow. And I'll see you in the next video.